We're so excited, Leela and myself. Leela, we're a team from InterIFAST, and InterIFAST is the international branch of IFAST, Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. And together with WuSA, we get a chance to do different programs in South Africa. Leela and I are so excited. You know, Leela does the tech for all of our programs. And so just for her to be here is just so wonderful and beautiful to always, you know, have her as just such a, like a precious, enthusiastic person that supports all of what InterIFAST does around the world. So we thank you guys for being here. And we have a special guest. This is the first of our 4-week series, as we promised. And this is a mentorship Sangha series. So we will learn some principles of mentoring, whether that be mentoring ourselves or mentoring others. We will dive into some of the principles of mentoring. And today we have this amazing, amazing guest, a very special person to me. She is my god sister, as well as a real friend, a true friend. And her name is Kunti Devi. So I'm going to just share a little bit. I can share it from my head. However, I wrote something, so I'm going to share what I wrote. So Kunti, her and her husband, Madhavacharya Prabhu, they were among the first devotees to join the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology that was founded by His Holiness Bhaktitirtha Swami in Washington, D.C. And Kunti, you know, she's had the amazing privilege and benediction to serve Bhaktitirtha Maharaj. She was one of his favorite cooks, and he always would be eager, you know, to go to the Institute, where she always lived in the Institute to get her caretaking, mainly her cooking. And Kunti, I think everyone can say this. Anyone that knows her knows that she carries this very sweet mood of Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, very selfless, very caring. Kunti is secularly, she's a registered nurse. She's been practicing as a nurse for 31 years. And she's been, you know, a devotee since the early 90s. And so for almost 30 years, Kunti and Madhavacharya, her husband, along with their 2 boys, Bhagavan and Dhanvantari, I want to say all 4 of them, they're always caretaking anyone that comes to the Institute. They've been the ones that's been keeping all the different programs going. And they've been mentoring many different people in communities that they build that's a part of the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. So along with all these things that she does at the Institute and being a nurse, which means going to work every day, and also mentoring many different devotees, many different secular people as well, having people live with her, you know, for long periods of time. She's quite an amazing, amazing soul. Both her and her husband, as I said, they're so very precious. And I'm guessing a part of why Kunti is so precious, perhaps, I'm not sure, is because she was born in Ethiopia. And so she has this, you know, this beautiful quality that I have experienced having lived in Africa from many of the people that are born in Africa. And they have a natural heart connection with other people. So let's welcome Kunti Devi, who's going to help us to understand a little more about how to trust, developing this amazing principle of trust amongst each other. Okay, Kunti Devi.
Thank you so much, Madhavacharya Lila, for that generous introduction. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm grateful for your invitation. And Madhavacharya Lila has been my mentor for the last 30 years. As soon as I walked into that door on Ingraham Street, you took me under your shelter, and you've been guiding me, and you've been encouraging me. This is part of your encouragement, my presence here today. It's out of my comfort zone, but because of your encouragement, here I'm doing something that I'm not so comfortable with, but because you asked. When a great personality asks, then you surrender. So I thank you so much. And I thank everyone who's here. giving up your time to be here to have this conversation. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And so today's conversation is the importance of trust in mentor-mentee relationships. So I'll try to speak about that. And I request that at the end of my presentation, maybe, everyone can jot down some experiences, positive or negative experiences with trust, whether you're a mentor or a mentee. Maybe you can share these experiences. We can share, with each other. I thank you so much. So I'm going to begin with prayers, inviting my teacher, my guru, and my Lord to help me with this. So I'll begin my prayer. Omi agyan timurandasya, gyananjana shalakaya, chakshur omalitamyana, tasmai shri guruve namaha, shishetanya manobishtam stapitamina butale, swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam, Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana, Shri Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivan, Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita, Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha, He Krishna Karuna Sandhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati, Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vandavanishwari Vishavanusati Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatorvyas Chakripa Sindhuve Chapatitanam Pavani Dio Vaishnavi Dio Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastayavtale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shtatmani Shri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Iti Namani Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastayavtale Shrimati Vardhana Swami Niti Namani Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastayavtale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Navashesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. So I'll begin today by reading from Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj's Spiritual Warrior 3. This encompasses our conversation today. So I'll begin from, this is Spiritual Warrior 3, Chapter 9. Guru says, although leaders can help others enormously, they can also hurt them more profoundly than anyone else. People give their leaders attention, love, and surrender. Successful God-centered leaders can provide their constituents with more care and guidance than almost anyone can. But when leaders, particularly those who claim to be dedicated to God, fail to put the Lord in the center of their activities, then not only do others experience pain, but they also lose faith in God. As spiritual warriors, we should internalize this truth and constantly remember the importance of integrity as we fulfill our responsibilities. This is especially true of spiritual relationship between priest and congregation, or guru and disciple, mentor-mentee. That's my addition. Such a connection is extremely powerful, invigorating, and supportive if it occurs according to the proper system. However, when it is misused, it can become tyranny and the worst kind of abuse, because it can affect every aspect of existence. So this is Guru's message to us about Relationships in mentor-mentee, guru-disciple, and teacher-student relationships. Trust is fundamental to build a healthy relationship, especially on the path of bhakti. We need mentors to help us navigate, help us avoid the pitfalls, and inspire us to grow in our spiritual life, and ultimately to achieve our goal, which is love of God, praying. So trust is the glue that builds that binds a relationship. There is no relationship without trust. Whether we are speaking about guru-disciple, as I said, teacher-student, mentor-mentee relationship, trust must be there. Trust is defined in the Webster Dictionary as firm belief or assured reliance on the character, reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something in which confidence is placed. So mentor-mentee relationships are based on truth, mutual respect, and honesty on both sides. However, it takes time to build trust. You know, for most of us, it's very difficult to deliver our hearts to others. There's a period of observation. We observe first before we do that, especially before we pick mentors. We ask questions of ourselves. Does the person talk their walk? Bhaktitirtha Swami Maharaj emphasized on walking our talk. Walking our talk. Talking is very easy, but do we practice that talk? How is the path working in their own lives, you know, as mentors, you know, before we deliver again our hearts? How is this path working in their own lives? I give an example of, you know, when you go to a hairdresser to have your hair done and you see the hairdresser hair is a mess, you're not going to sit under that, you know, person to have your hair done, because whatever tools they have is not working for them. So you walk out. So that's a question, you know, is this practice working on the, you know, on the person's life? Are they steady, consistent on the path of bhakti? Are they imbibing the philosophy? Is the person carrier of God's love and compassion? Are they selfless? Is he or she someone you trust, respect, and you feel they are your well-wisher? That's important. There's a certain level of risk to open up our hearts and to be vulnerable to others. The degree of trust that we have in others is influenced by our past experiences, our history, and our perceptions. Many people struggle with trusting due to a history, their past history of betrayals, humiliation, and fear that they can be hurt again. There may be numerous reasons why a person might develop trust issues. Actually, the traumas we experience in our early stages of development can create a permanent mark in our consciousness. For example, if a child did not receive the nurturing and love from parents or caregivers to instill security, it's very powerful. Being a parent is very powerful. A caregiver is very powerful because we have such an impact on the consciousness of, you know, developing children. And the trauma that's caused can last a lifetime. Or, you know, people, you know, experience divorce in their early age, you know, during their childhood, parents divorcing. So feeling abandoned by a parent when they leave the household. Lack of love and affection or attention from caregivers. You know, there are many people who are not nurtured properly. So there is a lifetime scar they carry because of that. They develop mistrust of others. loss of a significant person in their lives. Someone dies, like a father, a mother, a brother, or someone significant. History of physical, emotional, and mental, and sexual abuse that really scars people for life. There are so many abuses in the world. So people are wounded for a lifetime. Cheating spouses or previous abandonment issues. There are so many factors that make people not trust others. So there's a lot of work that we have to do before we connect mentors and mentees and have a healthy relationship. Therefore, with all the emotional trauma we carry, it is difficult to trust due to fear of being hurt. Sometimes we even think when others are kind to us, we think they must have an ulterior motive. They must want something from us. We are suspicious. This is a lack of trust. So Bhaktitirtha Swami Maharaj, actually I'll wait for that. There are tips, in developing trust again, connecting with people again, because as I said, without trust, there's no relationship. And we are social beings. We exist in relationships. So when we don't trust, then we don't have those relationships. It's like being in a desert without, and being thirsty and there's no water. We need relationships. In this path of bhakti, relationships are emphasized. Association is emphasized with like-minded people. So when we're suspicious, when we have no trust, then we don't connect deeply, in a deeper way. So some of the things we can do to develop trust again, especially as mentors, we can keep communication open and transparent so that we can have people trust, especially mentees trust mentors. So in our communication, we should be clear of what messages that we receive. So if we don't understand something, or if we're unsure of something, we should ask questions, restate what was said in our own words to make sure it's clear. I think it's called reflective listening. Make sure to make eye contact, listen with empathy, sincerity, and open heart. People know when we're insincere, when we're not interested, when we're not engaged in a conversation. That leads to mistrust. See people who need to grow and unfold, not people with problems that need to be fixed. Don't define people by their slight deficiencies. We tend to do that. We tend to see people's shortcomings. They may have a million wonderful qualities, but what stands out, what's underscored most of the time is their shortcomings and their shortcomings, which is unfortunate. Bhaktitirtha Swami Maharaj in Spiritual Warrior 3 talks about that. He says, when we fix a person, quote unquote, fix a person, we perceive that individual as broken and believe that their broken state requires us to act. We do not see the wholeness in the other person or trust the integrity of life within them. When we fix or help, we may inadvertently take away from people more than we give them. Our behavior implies that they do not have the resources to deal with a situation of their own, on their own. If we do things in such a dehumanizing or demeaning way, we diminish the self-esteem of others and cause damage. Even with the best of intentions, in order to be of real service, we must be attentive not only to doing the right thing, but also to do the right thing in the right way. Otherwise, despite our efforts to improve the situation, we may unintentionally cause greater conflict and unhappiness for ourselves and others. The spiritual warrior's commitment does not stop at helping others. We must be truly selfless servants. This is what Bhakti Tirtha Swami says about fixing people. They're broken. I'm going to fix it. We walk around with chisel and actually with nail and hammer in our relationships sometimes. I'm the one who can fix this problem. And that's not really, you know, most people, they just want to be heard. They just want affection. They want love. They want to be heard. They want us to share their plight. They want us to lend them the 2 ears that we have. So we first listen. A true mentor needs to speak less and listen more. Avoid solving problems. We should not give suggestion. You should do it this way, or you should do it that way. If you do it this way, it will work. This is my way. Your way is wrong. That's not what we want to do. Avoid lecturing or inundating people with Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita verses. People want connection, relationship, not lecturing. I do this a lot with my boys, and they tell me they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear my lecturing. They just want to be heard. They want to have a voice, and this is what happens between mentor and mentee. Usually there's a hierarchy, you know. The mentor is, you know, there's a higher position. So the higher we sit on that platform, the harder we fall. So we have to be careful, you know, not to elevate ourselves so high that we are not so reachable. And in that position, people don't really open up because they don't see us. They don't relate to us as they are. So we have to be careful. Instead of lecturing, we empower, encourage, help, you know, help them to find their own voice, their own power. Usually we have the skills to solve our own problems. We may be just overwhelmed, and the solution may come as we talk it out. You know, this is what we do as mentors. We allow people to find their own solutions by just putting it on the table and sort of bringing the puzzles together. And usually there's a resolution with that kind of approach. Yeah, instead of dictating or finding a solution, you know, whether we intend to, with intention of helping, sometimes, as Guru Maharaj said, we may make the situation worse. So, and also in this relationship, we need to invest our energy, our time, because relationships take time to nurture on both sides. So we have to be available. Even if we're really busy, very busy, I have a tendency to do this, you know, I'm very busy, and devotees call me and reach out to me, and I respond 2 days later, and that's just, you know, that's not being so accessible or caring. We have to, you know, even if we're busy, we can respond, you know, just text someone. I hear you. I'll get back with you, you know. If it's urgent, then, you know, even dropping everything to reach out to others, you know, that makes a deeper connection. That shows care. And we should have affection for as mentors to our mentees. But this is not like a dry therapeutic relationship. This is relationship of love and friendship. So we have to show affection. because we are representing as mentors Guru's love, Krishna's love. So we have to show affection and care. Also, we have to really think before we speak. We have to realize words are really powerful. You know, they can devastate, they can build up, or they can devastate. So we really have to be meditative and deliberate when we speak. We don't want to, you know, hurt others unknowingly. And once you say something, it's very hard to undo these things because words, as I said, are really, really powerful. So we have to be very deliberate in our speech. And we have to be truthful. Honesty is the best policy. Even it's not such a pleasant conversation, being truthful and just watching our delivery, you know, helps to sustain a deeper relationship. You know, we can say very difficult things with love, covered with love. You know, we can deliver with love. So that's important in how we deliver, and we have to be honest. We can't be so sentimental. Not to say the truth, not to hurt others, you know, to avoid to hurt others, sort of dismissing or disregarding truth. We have to deliver the truth with quoted with love, as I said. And we have to be consistent and transparent because if we're inconsistent, it creates doubt. And so that also prevents from a deeper relationship. Our goal is to connect, you know. Bhakti-tirtha Swami Maharaj always emphasized on loving communities, loving relationships. So these tools are to help us to go deeper in our relationship and be present for each other. And as leaders or as mentors, talking about our own weaknesses and shortcomings helps to sort of show that we are normal. We are feeling the feelings that whoever is connected to us, people can relate to that. And it helps to take the relationship even deeper. And one very, very important thing is to keep confidential information private. It's very important, especially in a relationship where people are revealing their deepest and darkest secrets, or, you know, things that they don't share so readily. It takes a lot to come forth and to share. In this case, we have to keep confidentiality. That's really a very serious thing. If we don't, then that will completely kill the relationship, because trust is devastated if we share someone's private, confidential sharing with others. And also, it doesn't only devastate that relationship, but it will kill our reputation. Others won't trust us also. And so confidentiality is very, very, very important. And we have to set a realistic expectation between the mentee and mentor, because sometimes the position of a mentor can be very high. You know, as I said, you know, we put people on a platform and it's unrealistic. If we're seen as perfect, then that's very difficult to maintain that position. When we make the slightest mistake, then the relationship falls apart. So we have to really sort of show our vulnerability, you know, our humanity, so that we are not stuck at that high position. And we have to lead by example. Integrity is not just about what we say, but it's what we do. So we have to always be truthful and honest, and always keep our word. We have to have integrity. If we want people to trust our words, they must see them at work in our own actions or in our own lives. And as I said earlier, be vulnerable. Mentors that are open about their own mistakes, their own failures, immediately are knock themselves off from the pedestal and make themselves more available and approachable. Yeah, that's important to have this rapport of love, not from a hierarchy position, but from friendship and loving position. Yeah. So a culture of trust is not built by being perfect, but by growing a character rooted in grace. That we have to be graceful and merciful to ourselves and to others. When we humbly own our mistakes and seek restoration, trust often follows. Our highest aspiration as devotees should be to serve others and to inspire each other to come closer to God. That's our goal, to develop deep, loving relationships so that we can inspire each other to meet our goal of getting closer to Krishna. The whole 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita are constructed on the conversation between God, the Supreme Lord Krishna, and his friend, the Manti Arjuna. Arjuna, the powerful warrior, was faced with the most difficult situation of slaying his own relatives on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. When he saw the assembly of his close relatives, like his grandfather Bhishma, his cousins, and his teacher Dronacharya, he became bewildered and lost his composure. He was plagued with doubts and apprehensions. He was ready to abandon his duty and run away to be a beggar. He's a warrior, but he didn't want to do it because he saw people who are his close relatives, his friends, his cousins, and his grandfather, who he admired so much, on the opposite side of the line, ready to fight. And so he was very disturbed. Krishna waited patiently until he was requested for guidance by Arjuna. Krishna, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna didn't speak until at the end of chapter 2 or chapter 3, because when we don't sort of give unsolicited advice, we wait until it's requested from us to give advice. My husband says I always give unsolicited advice. I go around, giving everyone advice. So he would say, did they ask you to give this advice? So Krishna waited. He waited. He saw, Arjuna was giving all kinds of reasons why he shouldn't fight. He said it was sinful to fight. He said, the women and the society will be spoiled if we fight this war. He said, there's so many things he said. I think he said 5 things. He said that bad progeny will inundate the society when the women are spoiled, Unwanted progeny will devastate the society. All these things he gave as a reason not to fight. In his bewildered state, Arjuna asked for Krishna's guidance. Krishna, waiting patiently until he was requested for guidance by Arjuna. Once the relationship shifted from 2 friends to mentor Krishna and mentee Arjuna, Krishna sings the whole Bhagavad Gita, showing Arjuna first that he and all those assembled on the battlefield are spirit souls. They're not, they're bodies. The soul could not be killed by any means. Therefore, as a Kshatriya, he is to perform his duty without attachment. Krishna shows Arjuna the different yogic practices such as Astanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, culminating with Bhakti Yoga, which is to attain pure devotional service. Finally, Krishna, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva Dharma Pratyaja Mamikam Charanam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Bhabebhyo Moksha Yishami Ma Suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. So Krishna gave the whole Bhagavad Gita as a mentor to a mentee who was in distress. And he waited until he was requested to help. After all this, Krishna tells Arjuna to decide for himself, after he gave him the whole information of how to progress in devotional life and how to unfold and how to achieve the goal. He tells him, okay, you've received all I gave you. Now it's your choice. You choose your path. So as exemplary mentors, we listen patiently and we share information, we offer options and alternatives, and finally, respecting the mentee and choosing his own path. We honor their own path to follow. In this way, that's a very rich
Haribol, is that just Kunti or is that everyone? Leela?
It was frozen.
Okay, so
just
Kunti's
for a moment.
frozen.
She's back now.
Okay, because
I was frozen. Could you hear me though? Could you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You got disconnected for a minute.
I did. What part? Okay. I don't know where I was stuck. I mean, where did you hear everything or should I repeat? I don't know.
You were on that last bit about mentoring?
And listen patiently.
Yeah.
Okay. After all this, Krishna felt Arjuna to decide for himself and choose his own path. This exemplifies beautifully the principles of mentorship: patient, empathetic listening, sharing information, offering options and alternatives, and finally, respecting the mentee and choosing his own path. So, we all have mentors in our lives. Of course, the greatest mentor is Krishna and Guru. And I have many mentors in my life. Besides my beloved Guru Maharaj, my husband is my mentor, actually. I don't tell him that very often, but he's my mentor. I just want to share personal information about story with Guru Maharaj about how he impacted my life and still continues to impact my life with his love and compassion. I just want to share one story. So I was carrying a very deep and dark secret for a long time in my life. For a long time, I didn't share with anyone. not even with my beloved husband. I was just really keeping this burden to myself for many, many years. So when Bhaktitirtha Swami Maharaj said those prayers in the mood of Vasudev Dutt, about taking on the burdens of the devotees in ISKCON so that they can move forward with their devotional life and get closer to Krishna. You know, he took everyone's burden. He requested to take everyone's burden. And shortly after that, he was diagnosed with melanoma and was really rapidly progressing, this cancer.
170.
He had his amputation.
125.
And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I'm part of this, this heavy karma I'm carrying as contributing to his illness and, you know, his pending departure from this world. Oh my gosh, I said, oh my goodness, you know, I can't have him do this. So I went to his room and I said, I have something to share with you. I've never shared it with anyone. And I told him the story, and he listened with such attentiveness. He leaned in and he gave me so much attention. I could see it in his eyes. He was listening. He was giving so much empathy and compassion. I felt it. I was encompassed by his love. And so I was able to talk about this burden that I carried for so many years freely. And then he asked me at the end, he said, who knows this story? I said, no one but me. He said, not even Madhavacharya? I said, no, he doesn't know. So he said to me, now Kunti, you have to go share the story with Madhavacharya. I said, I never said no to my Guru Maharaj, but I said, no, I'm not going to do that, Gurudev. He said, no, you must do this. He said, though, with that, he said to me, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You leave the door open and you walk to your room and tell your husband. So with that, I felt secure enough to walk out of that door, but I was still fearful. I was very fearful that my husband would reject me, you know, after hearing this story. I was very scared. That our room is a few feet from Guru's room, and his door was open. And as I was walking away, I felt like I was crossing the Sahara Desert because I was so scared. I went in the room and I told my husband, I need to talk to you. And I told him the story. And what I feared did not manifest. He held me. He was so loving. He was so understanding. And I felt freed from carrying this huge burden for so many years. So this is what a great mentor, someone who loves you, frees you from carrying a huge burden. It's not only he took away all the ugly karma and sacrificed himself, but he also allowed me to express myself and free myself from this huge burden. And so that's my sharing. It's only, what time is it now? I think this is my offering. Can we have a conversation? Can we have a discussion?
Yes, great. Thank you so much, Kunti Devi. That was beautiful. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Yeah, that was amazing. There's some comment here. You're amazing. I just have one question. You mentioned something, a culture of love is not grown by being perfect, and I didn't catch the end. I heard it, but I wasn't able to write it down.
Okay, let me see. I wrote everything, you know. I'm not such a spontaneous speaker, so I have to write everything. Okay, so let's see. A culture of trust is not built by being perfect, but by growing a character rooted in grace. When we humbly... What was that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Sure. A culture of trust is not built by being perfect, but by growing a character rooted in grace.
That's great. I really like that. Thank you. I really appreciated that. Does anyone have any questions? You're welcome to unmute and ask any questions or any reflections on what Kunti spoke.
Actually, I also want us to share about our own experiences with trust, so we can learn from each other.
Yeah, I think it's very. I actually found this very a very necessary conversation, because if we don't know also what to look for in a mentor, it can get us into some, you know, some unhealthy relationships with people. And also we want to be able to be our best, you know, be able to offer our best to people who look up to us. And so yes, let's take that as a conversation. But before that, I just have a question for you. Because this is part of our tradition that we help people wherever we are. There's always people that we can help and support in some way while we're still being helped and supported. But how do we know that we're qualified to actually be able to help people? Like, what are the guidelines for that? What do we ask ourselves? How do we explore that?
Well, you know, our qualification or our abilities come from Krishna and Guru. So before every encounter, we say prayers, you know, that Guru speaks through us. And when we have a sincere heart, when we have a desire to help, if our intention is rooted in, you know, service, then usually Krishna delivers, Guru delivers. But also, we can resolve all situations, all problems. We have to know or decipher in what needs a higher intervention. You know, we have to know our limitations and guide people to the right source if it's a serious issue. Most of the time, people just need a loving ear. They just want to be heard. Yeah, not really resolve the problems, but just know that people care. So just having that caring mood, really sincere caring mood, helps.